She Sport. Thank you for having me and for including me in your series. I'll just jump into the very first question in terms of how I've been managing the lockdown. I've been managing really well, actually. It's been a really good time. I've had a lot of time to myself and to be able to rest, which was really important after a very busy summer with the men's team and my first season with the men's team. It was quite a busy one, so there was a lot of up and down, a lot of traveling, and while I was used to traveling, I hadn't been used to traveling with as much work that the men's team kind of demands. So it was really good to be able to come home and decompress after a very long season, and also considering the fact that there was still a few tours that were going to be coming up. After that, we were meant to go to Sri Lanka this month, which obviously was postponed. So it was really nice to be able to come back and to relax. The nice thing was when lockdown was enforced, I think it was day 14 of my self-isolation after the India tour. We were asked to self-quarantine in case we had picked up anything on our way back home from India. Luckily, everybody was in the clear and everybody was healthy and remains so, which is great. In question 2, what is my new normal since live cricket is cancelled and any in-person activations are not possible? My new normal is business as usual, believe it or not. I wake up at about 6 every morning and I make a smoothie. I am a big smoothie maker. I love juicing as well, so I alternate between the two. So it'll either be a smoothie or celery juice, which is something that I'm into. I've been drinking celery juice for the last 3 years or so, which is really healthy for you. So I'll do that and then get ready for my work day, because I work from 9 to 5. It's the same. We're working from home at Cricket South Africa, so you work the same hours, you set up your laptop and you just get down to business. And it's more busy now than it would have been if I'd been at the office and it had been the off season, because there's a lot of people that are in need of content, a lot of media that are in need of content, and our players have been extremely busy. And it's my job to facilitate those interviews and to also facilitate activations for the players with our sponsors and our partners. So I've been doing that, and it's been very, very busy, and there's been quite a lot of planning meetings, planning sessions, debriefs from the season. You know, you have to look back before you look forward. So we've been doing quite a lot of that. Question 3, what is the one thing that lockdown is allowing me to do that I usually am not able to do when things are normal? It's to spend time with my family. So I decided that I'm going to be locked down with my parents. I'm spending a lot of time with them. Family time is incredibly important to me. It's really, really important. I can't even stress how important family time is. And spending time with my family, whom I missed incredibly during the summer, and whenever I'm working, I don't get a lot of time to spend with them. So I've been really appreciative of the fact that I can spend a lot more time with them. Everybody is busy with their own things during the day, and we're all doing work. But, you know, we come together for lunch, for our lunch hour, we come together for supper, and we spend so much more time together. Nobody's killed anybody yet. There's been no blowouts and no fights, which just goes to show how much we've really missed each other. And it's been really good to be able to have that kind of time. My sister's also here. So, yeah, I've been really enjoying that and being able to sit with them and to be able to catch up, because there's always something that you can talk about. My mom and I, when I'm traveling, we literally speak twice a day for an hour each time, an hour plus. You don't run out of things to talk about. So that's basically a lot of what I've been doing. I've also taken a lot of time to take personal stock of what is going on in my own life, in career-wise, personal life as well. It's really important to do like a spiritual check. I like to check in with myself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So I've been doing a lot of that, lots of self-reflection, self-analysis, and also just planning for the future as well. I've had a lot of time to be able to sit, think about where I'm at right now, and also just think about what I want for the future. Because the future always seems so far away. And you think about, certain things, and you think that it's not going to happen now. It's not something that you need to consider for now. But the future is a lot closer. It's a lot nearer than some of us think. And, one day you're running around and then you blink and it's 2020. So it's been really important for me to be able to just check in and to also assess and look ahead. Question 4, where does my passion for sport come from? I would say from my family. We are a massive sport-loving family. Weekends when I was growing up was so fun because it was always a sporting weekend, and we always loved watching sport together. We watched rugby, we watched cricket, football. So it was always something that we all loved. And my parents, especially my mom, actually, they drove the love for sport. Nobody was allowed to sit at school and do nothing, so you either had to find some kind of extracurricular activity, and we were always encouraged to play sport and to take part in something else, something that would mentally challenge you as well. So you find one physical outlet, and then you also find something else that will engage you mentally. And I thought that was really cool of them, and it's really important for kids to be able to have those kinds of outlets and to have something that drives them outside of just the academics. Question 5, was cricket always my first love? I would say sports-wise, definitely. I've never felt this much passion for any other sport. I definitely love cricket over and above all the other sports. And it's something that my mother and I share. We both love cricket so much. It's actually crazy. We're the biggest fans. We used to watch any and all cricket together. And it didn't matter whether it was South African cricket or if it was international cricket. The Proteas didn't necessarily have to play, just as long as we're watching cricket, which was great because we actually taught ourselves cricket. It was something that my brother used to play. He used to play club cricket, and something that he bonded with my dad over. And my mom and I decided that it was quite interesting, and we also wanted to see what it was about, and we taught ourselves cricket by watching it. And we just consumed as much of it as possible. But career-wise, whilst cricket was my first sport love, career-wise it definitely wasn't. I actually had planned to become a child advocate. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I just remember, when I grew up, from a very, very young age, I wanted to be a pediatric surgeon first, and then I wanted to be a child advocate, and then I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I just decided, cricket. So definitely not career-wise, but cricket the sport over anything else any day of the week. So it looks as though I answered question 6 a little bit there. When I left school, I actually wanted to be a child advocate. As I mentioned before, I studied LLB at UKZN before I moved to public relations at UJ. So when I left Durban, because I was at Howard College at that campus, I left Durban, and then I decided that I wanted to study PR, to my father's consternation. He still reminds me. He still kind of asks, like, are you sure you did the right thing? But yeah, I think it's really important to follow your passion. And at the time, I realized that people grow and they change, and your ambitions change as well. And I wanted to study public relations because it felt like it felt like a space where I would be able to interact a lot more with people and be able to make a different kind of impact. And I'm hoping that is what I did in the end. Question 7. Yes, I started as an intern at Cricket South Africa. I would probably say it was the best work experience of my life. I had a few others before that, but definitely in terms of experiences that grow you as a person, this was definitely one of them. Just a bit of background actually on how I even got the internship. It was 2008. The year was 2008, and my mom and I were watching the Proteas in Australia. Graeme Smith breaks his hand, does this amazing thing, and he walks out to bat. He's wearing somebody else's whites because he had already packed and he was ready to get onto a flight to go home. But here's the game. It's the situation is what it is, and he did this remarkable thing, and he stood up and he stepped up as a leader, and he went out to bat, broken hand in tow, and we might not have won that match, but for me it was the most life-changing thing that I'd ever seen. To see somebody take that much responsibility for himself, for the team, for his country. It wasn't even a World Cup, but to have that kind of integrity and to have that thing as a leader, I just thought that it was the most remarkable moment. It's a moment that changed my life forever, actually, because that was the moment where I actually looked at my mom. I was like, I want to work there. And she's like, where? I'm like, there, where he works. I want to work where he works. I want to be surrounded by people that are driven by that much passion, because it has to take a lot of passion to want to get up and do something like that, take responsibility, and to show that kind of leadership, and to show that kind of strength for your country. And she and I actually we went onto the Cricket South Africa website. Thankfully back then everybody's email addresses were, every single department was there, and everybody that worked at Cricket South Africa's email address was on the website, and picked out Cass Naidoo's because I was studying public relations at the time, and just wrote, like literally poured my heart out because of what I just witnessed, what I just seen. Oh my word, Graeme Smith just did this, and I want to be a part of something that special, because it can't just be him, it can't just be the team. If those guys play like that, behave the way that they do, and represent their country in such an exquisite way, then clearly the team behind the team has to feel even a semblance of the passion that I feel for the game of cricket. And I want to be there. I want to be around people like that. I want to be around like-minded and like-feeling people, people who feel the way that I feel about this game. And it's not about being a fan of the Proteas. It was about being a fan of cricket. And that was a moment that if you were not a cricket fan, you would have turned into a cricket fan just based on that. In terms of life-changing moments, that's how I came to the decision to apply for that internship. What the internship taught me was complete and utter growth. It was the best decision I've ever made, the best job that I'd had at that point. It taught me so much, and it taught me firstly like responsibility, taking responsibility for everything that you do, being responsible and owning that responsibility. Whether you do something amazing, it taught me to actually acknowledge when you do something good and when you do something very well, because as human beings we tend to bow our heads and not take on compliments and not be good at taking compliments and acknowledging when you've done something well. It taught me to accept when you do something well, and to also take responsibility when you make mistakes, because we're human and mistakes will always be made. And having a department like I did, that I worked in, it was an all-female department led by Cass Naidu, who was the most fabulous, amazing boss. She was extremely hard on us, but through that, she also gave us room and space to grow, and she allowed us to become whoever that we wanted to be. Her first question when she meets you is, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you see for your future? You have to know the answer to that question so that she can help you get there. And under her leadership, I think, and I don't want to sound like that person, but we were literally the best department. And, it was a communications department, all female. And at that time, marketing and commercial also fell under her. So we were quite a big department in terms of importance, but also a very small department because it was literally about 4 or 5 people. And then we had one male colleague, 2 male colleagues, Adam and Michael Owen Smith, Adam Dean and Michael Owen Smith, who also pulled in as part of the department. So it became this amazing, amazing department that pulled off so many beautiful campaigns and creativity and just freedom to express yourself, and therefore, create something great for the company and also for the team was highly encouraged. And I think in terms of, very healthy working environments and workspaces, I think that was probably where a lot of my growth took place. So sorry that question was very long, but yeah, that answer was very long, but yeah. Question 8, what I had hoped to achieve when I joined Cricket South Africa. I wanted to be the face of cricket, and back then, I was still young enough and excited enough to want to be in TV and to be a part of the TV broadcast space. And Cass is a very inspirational person to work for. So you look at her and you see the things that she was achieving and the things that she was doing, where she came from and what she was about. And you watch her emceeing a work function, and then you just hear her voice suddenly go from Cass Naidu to Cass Naidu, and she was so inspirational. I wanted to be her. I wanted to be just like her. Not her, actually. Yeah, I wanted to be just like her. And I wanted to be the face of cricket. I wanted my name to be almost a synonym, with cricket, and to be linked forever with cricket. Obviously, dreams change. You suddenly realize that you've got stage fright the size of Africa, and that's okay. And I still want to be the face of cricket, but in different ways. And I hope that the journey that I'm on now is going to help in that. I definitely have grown out of the dream for television, but I do want to be the face of cricket in other ways, and in ways that inspire young women, and in ways that help lead and bring through young women into the sport. Question 9, looking back, how do I feel about what I've achieved in the organization? I feel humbled because it's incredible to look back and realize that for the last 10 years, I've literally every single day been living my dream in one way or the other. I have always dreamt of working for the Proteas, working with the Proteas, working in and around the Proteas. But over and above that, I wanted to work for cricket because I'm a fan of the sport first and foremost, before I'm a fan of any specific team or individual. And just having a look back at the many different ways that I've been involved in the game, I think it was really important to start from where I did, which was with cricket development, which also, it strengthened my love for the game even more, because you see where a player has to come from in order to become who they are. And the journey to professional cricket, or the journey from, mini cricket all the way to the Proteas, is such a long one. And you have a look at players who've been a part of the development pipeline of Cricket South Africa and who have gone through all of the phases, and you can't help but have so much respect for them, because it took a lot to get there. And in many ways, I also walked the same journey, only from an administrative point of view, from cricket development, working with the mini cricket program, then the schools program from under 13 all the way to the Khaya Majola Week, which is the under 19 program, then moved on to the high performance program with the South African National Academy, worked there in the communications department, PR and media, moved from there to the South Africa A team. From the South Africa A team, I worked with the women's team, which was, I think, one of the greatest things that I've ever been a part of, because I love the women's program. It's a different world, it's a different space. It deserves separate and completely different attention all on its own. And it's been so great to see the growth that's been taking place in that space, and from the women's team to the men's team. So having walked all of those many journeys, I felt like when I went to India with the men's team that I was also graduating from high performance, from the little league all the way to the big league. And it felt like a player's journey, because I'd literally walked every single step that a player would have, but not on the cricket field, if I'm making any sense, which really made me proud. Cricket takes a lot of time. It's a very long game. Even the shortest format is 3 hours. And I was very proud that all the years and all the hours and the time that I've missed with family, and the time when I missed out on hanging out with friends and losing some friends because they couldn't understand the reason why I was picking work, something as frivolous to some people as a job, rather than trying to be a good friend, quote unquote. I felt like that I was vindicated, that that it was all worth it. And I strongly believe that the circle that you have around you and the people that are around you, the ones that last the long road with you, are truly the people that matter. So everything that has happened up until now, I just thought it's something that was necessary to take place, and that it is, and the people that came through with me are the people that are definitely, the people for me. They're definitely my people. Question 10. I've worked in a few ICC events. I think I have 2 actually best experiences, because they were similar but very different because of the difference in the roles that I played. The first one was the 2017 ICC Women's Cricket World Cup. I was there with the South Africa women's team, the Proteas women, and it was just the most amazing experience, only because of the team that I was with, and just being able to see how far women's cricket had come. I think that was the watershed moment for women's cricket. The watershed tournament. Everything was, I'd been to a World Cup before, and I'd been to a couple of T20 World Cups before that, but it was nothing compared to what happened in 2017. And as a result, the women's game across the world has taken giant leaps forward, several giant leaps forward ever since then. And it was just such a great space to be in, because women were the focus, both administratively and from an athlete's point of view. It was the best tournament that I've ever seen put together. The organization thereof, the people that were working on it, the ICC staff, everything about it was just the most amazing tournament, and also what the team achieved. They made it to the semi-final, and it was the most heartbreaking semi-final, but just to see the journey that the team had taken, and having seen the preparation that went into it as well, the team that was selected as well, just the most amazing group of women who were all of one mind, and they were just single-mindedly knocking teams over. And even if a match was lost, the mission was still alive, and the goal was still alive. And that feeling and the togetherness and the unity of the team. It was literally the best experience from a team perspective I've ever experienced, and I wish to look. I wish to be a part of something like that, something as special as that one day again. The second one was the 2019 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup. I was asked by the ICC to be one of the media managers, which was, I think, one of the best. It was the proudest career moment of my life. And also it was the best work experience of my life. It was completely different from anything I've ever done before. And I learned so much just in that, I think it was a 9-week window. And it was amazing to see how everything gets organized from an ICC point of view, and how it's not just about your team now, and it's not about just your country, it's literally about the entire world, and seeing the amount of work that the ICC puts in, and the amount of commitment and passion that the people that work there have for their work and for the mission, which was to bring together or to host the best live sporting event ever. And for me, it was the best live sporting event I've ever experienced to date. 2017 was wow, it was jaw-dropping. 2019 was completely life-changing. I really enjoyed it, and also it opened up my eyes in terms of my ambitions. Suddenly, I didn't want to be the best communicator, public relations officer in the country. I started looking global, and I started seeing myself not just in the small South Africa only way. I actually wanted to step up and start making a global impact. Question 11. I had to take a small break here and have a nice think, a good think about this. Question 11 asks, what makes me passionate about the women's game and seeing women thrive? I'm extremely passionate about it. Passionate is the right word. It's the greatest descriptor or a great describer of how I feel about, firstly, women's cricket, and then women in cricket and women in sport in general. I'm passionate about this because I know what it's like to be a young female who is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, overly excited about walking into what is essentially her dream job or the dream organization, and being shut down left, right, and center by the men around her workspace. I know what that's like. I lived it, I experienced it. To date, I still sometimes feel as though some people are holding their breaths or waiting for you to fail, or waiting for you to stutter or to stumble, so that they can quickly point at you and be like, there it is, and that's why she probably shouldn't be there, type of thing. Because as a woman, you always have to be twice as good to have what they've got. And by they, I mean men. And there's always that difference. You can always feel it. But I feel as though we've taken great strides, great leaps forward, especially in my environment, especially at Cricket South Africa. I didn't know that it was possible for old dogs to learn new tricks. But right now, I probably work in the most supportive, in the most supportive to women environment. Men want to see you pass. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you do well. And you don't see the whole male-female thing anymore. There's no us versus them. We're not working trying to one-up one another. We're all working for one common cause, which is cricket, and to make sure that we leave the game better than the way we found it. And it's incredible. I want young girls to know that their dreams are valid. I want women to know that there's no such thing as an impossible dream. And I want women to know that there's nothing that a man can do that they can't do twice and better with one hand tied behind their backs while swiveling something else with their other hand. Because I just feel as though, it's such a special time to be a female. It's such a special time to be a woman. People are taking notice. They're taking note of us. They are starting to validate us. We are finding ourselves not having to work as hard as we used to have to, because by virtue of being where you are, you're not just the female hire. You're there because you deserve to be. And I don't ever want a woman or a young girl to ever feel doubt when they look in the mirror and to wonder at themselves and whether they deserve to be where they are. That's why I'm so passionate about opening opportunities for women and making sure that we are there for one another. And there's no competition, which is what I love. In cricket, I've not experienced something where one woman is trying to steal the other woman's job away. It's so uncomfortable, and there's all these quote unquote girl issues. There'll always be personality clashes, but I've never experienced in my environment something where one woman tries to step over the other so that they can shine. Women in the sporting industry are so united and try to create an environment where we open doors for one another and for other girls, and we try to open the industry as well. One of my favorite events to attend is the Tree Sport Awards, because you literally see everybody there. All the women in sport are there, and it's so brilliant to have something where you can have everybody under one roof celebrating one another, because we don't get celebrated enough. And I hope that I answered that question well. I just feel really passionate about young women being given the opportunity and the space to be able to come in excited and not have their dreams dashed or their hopes dashed, or have a little bit of themselves taken away from them because somebody doesn't see you. And when I say see you, they don't see you. They literally don't acknowledge the fact that you have anything to contribute. So yeah, that's me. Question 12 is, how would I describe the state of women's cricket in South Africa, and where does South Africa rank globally? I think women's cricket is one of the most well-supported sports in the country. I think in terms of where our national team is, in terms of them being fully contracted, having the sponsor and Momentum Health, the kind of organizational support that Cricket South Africa has put in place, the developmental structures that CSA has put in place, I think women's cricket is the top women's sport in the country. It's definitely the most well supported. I remember not last year, but the year it was 2018, we went to a women's breakfast with the then Minister of Sport, Thokozile Kasa, and you were listening to all of the problems that other sporting codes were going through and the issues that other sportswomen had to endure, and the challenges that they had to endure. And myself and the two players that were with me at that breakfast, we all looked at each other and we were like, we are incredibly fortunate, and we need to do so much better as a team, because there are sporting codes out there that have very little to almost no support. So administratively, I think Cricket South Africa has done an incredible job to take women's cricket from, I would say, I don't know, level 2 when I started, to probably level 9 right now, in terms of, from a 1 to 10 scale. And I think that, once the results start coming, we'll have a lot, even more to celebrate. I definitely think that women's cricket is something that globally has completely changed. The way that people see women's cricketers is not as they used to see female cricketers. The world and the way that other countries such as Australia and England, New Zealand, India, even West Indies are treating their female athletes and their female cricketers it's an incredible thing to witness. The fact that Australia, men and women, they earn the same amount of money, the kind of push that comes from the ECB and the kind of support that they give their team, it'll blow your mind. The structures that they put in place, the ICC, and how they've changed policy in order to firm up support for women's cricket and to force some boards to put more efforts behind their programs for women's cricket. It tells you a lot about how forward-thinking even the global organization is, and what the focus is for them, and how seriously they take the game of women's cricket. Question 13, what can we do to raise the profile of women's sport in South Africa? I think broadcast is so important. If it's not in the people's faces, then they can't identify with it. I think it's important. The media plays a very, very crucial role in helping to profile women's sport. We need more media to start talking about women's sport, and not only when there's a World Cup or when they're playing a big country. We need to, when you are receiving interview requests, we shouldn't be, when you're getting a request for a Faf du Plessis, you also have to slot in. But what do you think about maybe speaking to Danae van Niekerk at a different point in time? We shouldn't be, having to slot in our players, our women's cricketers, as an exchange of sorts. I think it's really important that, and the South African media, I must give them a lot of credit. The last few years, their interest in women's cricket has grown exponentially, and we actually have certain journalists who cover cricket, who are cricket journalists specifically, who literally cover, both the men and the women, and it's not just about the men's game only. So I would love to see the greater South African media do the same. In cricket, we've done a good job of pushing, the agenda of our women's team and the women's game. It would be really great to see everybody else, not just thinking that in rugby you're going to think about Asiya Kolisi. You also, want to ask about Babalwa Lacha and about what the women's team is doing and what they want to achieve, what their hopes and dreams are, because everybody has ambitions, and I think everybody is working equally hard and training equally hard, and therefore everybody deserves, the same kind of attention, the same amount of attention. Question 14. What does it mean for me that I keep rising along in this journey now that I'm with the men's team? I think it's really important in life to always be growing, that you are always finding new avenues and ways to grow yourself, to grow your knowledge, to widen your repertoire as well. I think it's really important not to stay standing still. It's important to always stay curious and to always find something that engages you both intellectually and emotionally. And I feel as though I have walked the intellectual and the emotional roller coaster throughout my time at CSA. And the time that I've spent with the men's team feels like an incredibly special reward for the amount of work and the amount of years that I've invested in the organization and that I've invested in the game of cricket. These guys are heroes, and seeing the impact that they have on small children, on adults, on the elderly, the passion that they bring out in people, the tears that come from young kids when they meet their favorite cricketer. It's such an important and such a massive space in so many different ways. And it's incredibly special to me that I have been given the opportunity to be a part of that and to be able to experience that. And I think that, it's for me, it was almost, the nod that hard work really does pay off. And to be able to be in the same change room with Mark Boucher, Jacques Kallis, people literally, I used to worship the ground Jacques Kallis walked on. It was the most surreal thing that he is now a member of the coaching staff. Because I remember when I was younger, I would flip out whenever he would bat because I couldn't believe that a person could be that talented. And then I woke up one day and I had to start telling him what to do from a media space, and it took a couple of days for me to be able to reconcile myself with that. But it was an incredible experience, and to be able to work with people that are so passionate and have worked so hard to be where they are. A coach like Enoch Ngwe, who does the most he's just the most amazing person in terms of connecting mentally, emotionally with players, and who is so thoroughly knowledgeable and so knowledgeable in the game and what he does and what he knows. And the way that he imparts his knowledge, he's a really good mentor. And it's not just with players, it's also with the people around him. He's got this really great way of drawing people to himself. And he inspires a lot of trust in the people that work around him. And it's really great to be around people like that. And, your Charles Langerfelds and Justin Ontong and all of the coaching staff. It's surreal to be surrounded by so many people who have put in the years, majority of them as cricketers themselves, including our team manager, Khumutso Masubelele. He was a cricket player, he was a coach, he's been around cricket from the very beginning like I have. He's been a mini cricket coordinator as well. He's walked literally the same journey, and he's been through incredible hardships, and he's now the team manager for the Proteas. And it's so inspiring to me to work with people like that, because the passion that they have for the team goes hand in hand with the hard work that it took for them to get there. And you want to be surrounded by people like that, because it helps to make the space even more special, because everybody has put their hearts and their souls into the job. So for me, it's a really special feeling, and it's a privilege to be a part of this team. Question 15. Who are the women in sport who inspire me and why? Cass Naidu, definitely. That goes without saying. She's literally that, when people say we need to go back to the drawing board, she's literally my drawing board. She's inspirational to me because she knows she was successful years and years before the women empowerment movement kicked it up a notch and went to gear up and allowed us the opportunity to become the people that we are today. Cass was already a professional commentator, and she was the only female in all male teams, and she was experiencing, I'm pretty sure, 10 times or 15 times, 20 times more what we experienced when we were starting out. And she's here. She started, this amazing movement called G-Sport, and she is a mother of 3, and she is a motivational speaker. She's an MC. She does this and that and the next thing. She does so many different things, and yet she is a wife as well and a mother on top of all of those things, and that all before all of those things. I find that really inspirational because it's my ambition to be a mother of people, and to be able to achieve all the things that I want to achieve while I'm at it. And she's a person that I can speak to about anything, and she will always understand. She's incredibly honest as well. I'm a fan of people who are really honest, and I have a lot of respect and a lot of time for people who will be honest with you, especially when you need to hear it and don't want to hear it, because that's when you know that you've got really good friends. Your true friends will tell you what you don't want to hear when you need to hear it. Another lady who I look up to is Claire Furlong. She's the General Manager of Marketing and Communications at the ICC. She is an incredibly strong woman, and she has to deal with a lot of men in her environment as well. She's also one of my mentors and somebody that I bounce a lot of ideas off. And she is she's very no nonsense and fun at the same time. So where you can be strict and also have time to play, it's really important to be able to get that work-life balance and to make sure that you're really enjoying yourself every step of the way, even though there are bad days. She's a constant reminder of that, and she reminds me to enjoy what I'm doing as well. And she makes me want to do even more, inspires you with what she does. And she doesn't even realize that she's doing that, which is great. It's a great sign of a good leader when they are inspiring you without even talking to you or telling you what to do. They inspire you through their action. I think she's amazing for that. Caster Semenya, she inspires me to be true to myself, which I think is a very important lesson for young girls to learn. And the sooner you learn it, the better, because then the happier you are. Caster, she shrugs off what people say and the meanness of the world, and she decides to live in light and to live in her own light and to stay true to herself. And I think that it's a really important lesson. And watching her going about the challenges that she's had to overcome, it angers me that she even had to go through the things that she did. But I'm in awe of how she came out of it, and how she continues to shine in spite of all of those people, and how she keeps her head down and minds her own business and is only about herself and what her goals are. She is definitely goals. She's the kind of person that I hope that I will be able to grow into, and to just, unconditionally be Siphokazi. And my last woman who inspires me. There are lots. There are many women, but one that I do want to mention is Sumaya Khan. She's the Director General of Sport and Recreation. She is so wonderful. She's soft, and she is, I equate her with warmth and comfort and, like strength. And she reminds me that you don't have to be hard all the time, and you don't have to be, you don't have to feel as though you have to match men, like rough edge to rough edge. She's warmth, and she's so lovely, and she's incredibly fierce, and she reminds me that you can be unapologetically female in a world of sport and in a male-dominated environment, and still be able to achieve massive things as she has done. G-Sport is an incredible movement. It's changed lives. Firstly, it's put women's sport on the map. It's opened the eyes of men who never ever took women's sport for anything that is of great significance. G-Sport is a movement that has afforded women a platform where they can be celebrated, and celebrated the right way, because nobody knows how to celebrate women like other women. We know what we like. We know how we want to be celebrated and how we want to be shown appreciation, things all the way down to, the labeling of things, because, you'll have, and this is still something that bothers me, but, you'll have teams called the Proteas or the Springboks, and those are the men's teams, and then the women's teams will be called, the SA women's team, when we are all Proteas, we are all Springboks, and G-Sport is a platform that has allowed women to be celebrated in the way that they have deserved to be celebrated for many years and many generations. And it's a movement that is building and opening doors in the industry, in the sports industry, for other young women. And it's a platform where young women are able to express their interests and able to express their ambitions without feeling as though their ambitions are not possible, because they're surrounded, thanks to G-Sport, they're surrounded by women who have been there, who have achieved, and who have done the things that they are hoping to achieve. I think that it's done incredible things, that Cass, Rake, and the team have done more than I think they would even be able to realize, especially for the young girl who sits at home and is on her Twitter and really and truly loves sport, wants to report about sport, wants to administrate sport, wants to be a part of a team, wants to play a sport, but is afraid to mention it to the people in her environment because they won't validate that dream. It's a platform that says, yes, you can, and here is how, because that's so important as well, because we can affirm one another as much as we like, but where to from there? And G-Sport is one of those places that gives you avenues to be able to pursue your greatest dreams. Question 18. My mom has played a big role in my life. What has she taught me? Goodness, I don't think we have enough time and we don't have enough page space to fill with the lessons that she's taught me, but I think the biggest takeaways that I can share will be, my mom has taught me strength. She's taught me to be stubborn in the right way, not to yield to anybody else who thinks that I don't deserve what I want to achieve. And my mom has taught me that there is nothing that I want to achieve that I can't do if I work hard enough for it, and that there are no doors that will be closed permanently in your face, that there are no opportunities that will be blocked, your path will never be blocked, that whatever you work for and what is for you will always find you. Doesn't matter what any obstacles people put in front of you, what is for you will always find you. That for me is a lesson that I take with me every single day. It's something that I remind myself every single day. My mom's taught me faith. She's taught me to believe in myself, and she's taught me independence. I think that that is such a key component as a female. A lot of us grew up, watching Disney movies and reading fairy tales, and almost being hypnotized into thinking that we need a man to come in and rescue us, or come in and plot the way forward for us, or come in and open doors for us in order for us to become the people that we want to become, for us to be able to achieve the things we want to achieve. And my mom has taught me that the only person who is going to help you achieve what you want is yourself. And you do not need to lean on anybody else. You need yourself more than anything, because someone else can't dream for you. Someone else can't be ambitious on your behalf. You need to be those things for yourself. And you need to take certain steps for yourself and accept help when it's given to you. I think, I mean, she's taught me a lot more things, but those are some of the things that I take away from myself. And she also teaches myself and my sister. She reminds us to always remember to be soft, to be emotional. You have the right to your emotions, and those emotions are valid. Question 19, my message to the youth about following their dreams. I think what I'd like to leave behind, or the message I'd like to leave behind the most, is have a dream, but always have a plan about how you want to go about reaching your dream. Because a dream without a plan is just a wish. So don't waste your time wishing. Spend your time planning and find people who can help you achieve that plan or that dream. Something as inconsequential as sending an email and begging for an internship and promising that you will babysit for free, and you will work for free as long as you're learning, as long as you're being given this opportunity. Throw yourself out there, put yourself out there. The worst thing that you can hear is no. And that's okay as well, because that's not the opportunity for you, or that's not the avenue you're meant to be taking. But always take steps towards your dream, and don't just sit at home and say, oh, I wish, or I wish I could, because there's nothing worse than living with what if. Rather live with an oops, or maybe that wasn't for me. Or next time, I'm gonna do it in this new way. But never just sit back and wait for someone else to pick up your dreams for you and make them come true. My greatest ambition, my answers can never just be straightforward. My greatest ambition is to be a parent. It was my first dream as a child. I've always wanted to be a mom. I'm not one yet, and God willing, I will be. And I'm a very patient person. So I would love for one day to be a mom and to be able to pass on some of the passions and the passion projects that I feel and that I have. And my other ambition, I've decided, sport is my life. And I would love to work at the ICC and then come back to South Africa and ultimately be the CEO of Cricket South Africa. I'm not too bothered about being the first woman to XYZ. I just want to come in and make a positive impact. I want to always leave a place better than how I found it. And I believe that through working at the ICC, it'll open up my eyes and it will open up my perspective in such a way that I'll be able to come home and to offer even more of myself to the game that I love.